Sometimes I amaze myself.
Bow and tremble!
Even split.
Greatness walks in my midst.
Welcome treasure seekers to yet another Uncharted video, this time looking at the multiplayer again. Covering the gameplay and mechanic changes from the previous Uncharted 2 and 3 multiplayer from the PS3 release, sadly lacking from the PS4 version. You can check out my other video covering Uncharted multiplayer in terms of the visuals and the audio side, which will hopefully tide you over until the single player hits these shores, or yours. Here we're going to take a deep dive look into the mechanics, the gameplay and how it stacks up on previous versions, including the animation and how the changes have affected the gameplay and what improvements they've made. To recap, the beta was released with parts of the single player seen thus far. 2 levels, one from the level in the mountains where the town was, and also the second one from the jungle section from the previous PSX demo. This level allows a great mix of standard run, gun and cover, along with a serious trademark verticality, offering up high vantage points with a good trade-off in cover to compensate. In addition, one of the biggest new mechanics to the game is the use of a rope and hook at fixed points across the level, allowing much faster travel along with some dramatic takedowns.
Have some of this. That's how it's done.
With it allowing a full range of motion and linking multiple points together, you can cover a good distance whilst doing your best Spider-Man impression. Great power and all that. Like most maps from the previous games, it runs from a centre hub that has many routes in and out to form the basis of multiple sections. The second map is a more industrial build, again offering up vertical and horizontal traversal, rope anchor points, and follows a more symmetric split across the two sides, with a raised and open area allowing ambush from above to be of use or concern in equal measure. Aside these differences, the matches play out in a similar fashion, with a team of up to 5 versus 5 on each side, facing off in the only game mode available, good old fashioned team deathmatch, with the first team to 35 declared the winner. The village map gives a very modern warfare feel to both its layout and design in play, which is not a bad thing. Memories of epic throwing knife kills still put a smile on my face. But the lack of time-defying knife melee is a welcome omission. But the modern warfare influence is not only felt here, with the introduction of perks as we saw in previous games, allowing faster reload, longer lifespan when down, but it gets more so here with the new sidekicks and mystical power boosts. These can be bought from the store with in-game credits earned from pickups in matches or kills or downs, tapping the touchpad or being offered the choice before a respawn. You can purchase heavy weapons set from the loadout section before matches, locking you in with a preset selection. So far, so modern warfare, and it works well with the choice of perks, weapons and skins, perks all being unlocked as you work through the game and rank up, but as per the warfare matches, it is a love or hate divide on how successful these additions are in play. The totem pole, for example, will hit all enemies within range until dead, no matter what cover you are behind. Again, sidekicks can snipe, gun or grab you or others in play, and at times can overpower the combat to make it a very one-sided situation, not helped by more than one player able to drop the same kill streak bonus in conjunction with others, meaning you can find yourself quickly downed with no real solution to stop it. It is not a huge deal, and I'm sure with feedback these and other areas will be tweaked by the team, maybe limiting only sidekicks per team and powers, or along with the defense options to give a more tactical balance to these. But it successfully captures and improves on the Uncharted multiplayer action that at present misses the story introduction we saw in 3, but this may come in other game modes to be shown later in the final release. Now, comparing this to the previous games, I went back and played both Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3's multiplayer. The first thing that's quite evident is the sacrifices made in Uncharted 3's multiplayer are much bigger than the ones made in 2. Visually, there is a difference between both games and their single player campaign, but 3's difference is far more stark than 2's. The pretty much removal of all anti-aliasing solutions in 3's multiplayer does stand out a lot, and the quality of both the characters and objects is much lower than the single player. And Uncharted 2 holds up much better, but it's not only that. The level design of 2, with the verticality better integrated and the layout structures evolving you more into team-based games, whereas the larger sections of Uncharted 3 do tend to split you off as you play through, and it can leave you overpowered if you spawn in the wrong place. I also prefer the layouts of Uncharted 2's maps, and I prefer the distinct link between the single player campaigns with a more obvious divide in 3's. So I'm hoping this is something they'll match more with Uncharted 4. But what is a massive leap on is the animation. Just looking at the amount of contextual animation, from flinching when gunshots go off, pulling yourself behind cover, reacting, rolling over the floor, rolling the gun over your shoulders, moving hands, changing hands, reloading, everything that you see in the game is so smooth and fluid, it looks more like a single player than it does a multiplayer game. There's just so many subtle things in the game, like when, for instance, when you're swinging on the rope, you'd actually flick your legs as you jump off, or wave your arms as you're coming to land. There's so many touches in the game that I just love, and probably most people will miss, but subconsciously you do pick it up, and it makes it feel that much more natural and organic. Just simple things like the running animation between the two, there's far more keyframes and it's much smoother, helped immensely by the increased RAM allocation obviously in this generation, but also far more work and skill in the animation department. Now it is helped a lot by its double frame rate, but this is not the only reason why we're seeing this, and quite a solid and smooth control system. Uncharted 2 was probably the most solid, but overall the shooting and mechanics are very similar across the board. The responsiveness, as you would expect, is faster, but it's not just a double frame rate. You can have the same responsive rate even at 30. But it's also the control system. It's far more weighted and intuitive than the previous games. Now recoil from shooting the gun feels much more realistic, helped by the animation and physics system. And certainly they've played around with the camera style, moving in much closer and pushing you far to the left or right, giving you a much clearer field of view, making aiming down the scopes much easier than previous games, and I prefer it. Job well done, guys. But what you can tell straight off the bat is the whole mechanic is built around this jumping, hiding, cover and the rope swing, which sits well across both levels, allowing a good portion of attacks from above, below and behind cover to be far more intuitive and natural and contextual in play. This works much better than the previous games, jumping in and out of cover and rolling, with you feeling far faster and more fluid on your feet. And this means that you have to be much better at hitting targets when they move, as just like yourself, everyone else on the map can also be a slippery little eel. This makes the multiplayer the funnest I've had so far, including The Last of Us, which is a much slower section and playstyle than this. But it does promote team play, and again this is all part of the core mechanic. Having the down system and the fact that you have to take a few more hits to put them in a KO means that you can actually roll back to your teammate and stay together. It promotes team play and stops lone wolves and camping, because it means that you can't do that if you just hide in a corner. There is obviously headshots come into effect, and if you get one you can down people in one shot, which I love. The mines and the grenades and dynamite some may not like, and they may play with the sections and the explosive range of them, but for me they all seem pretty good, and I think you can spot the mines and everything else quite easily. The one thing I'm not overly swung on though is the mystical powers. They have been tweaked throughout the beta and they have been toned down a little, but I do think that sometimes they're slightly overpowered and can happen very quickly, and depending on where they land you basically get killed without any route of escape, which can be a little frustrating. But again, these are minor niggles in what is overall a very impressive multiplayer, and one that I'm absolutely egging to play even more come March. The skeletal frame and pivot system is the most impressive in the animation, allowing each individual body part to move, twist and show weight in physics as you land, roll and slide. But all of this is not unique. There are other games that use these techniques, but they all come together here with such a high level and combination to deliver some of the best animation seen in real-time games, and this is all in gameplay, and their cutscene cinematics, and I'm sure single player will excel even more on this. But I'm looking forward to what changes they can put into the game, and also the diversity of the maps. Some of the great maps from 2 and 3 still stand out now, and I really enjoyed the movable ones like the plane fight, jumping from trucks and plane mid-battle. So I hope the team repeat this, and maybe the rope bridge, like I said in my other video, would be epic. Visually the results speak for themselves, and I would imagine the improvements in the multiplayer are more along the lines of what we saw in 2 than 3. In terms of what they've improved from the actual multiplayer of the previous games, the differences are vast. Like I say, the split between the single player and multiplayer on previous games was evident, certainly in Uncharted 3's case, but here there doesn't seem to be that huge split from what we've seen of single player. There is a change mind, obviously, but it doesn't seem as drastic as before. But we haven't seen the real final single player yet, so I think Sully says it best.
I see great things in our future, kid. Great things.
Couldn't agree more, Victor. Couldn't agree more. I really am looking forward to what Naughty Dog finally ship come March. And there's still going to be that epic improvement in single player that I cannot wait to see, and I'm sure I'm not alone. It will be like a slap across the face. As always, I hope you guys and girls enjoyed this. If you did, then please hit the like and subscribe button. I really appreciate each and every one of you that does. Please leave all your thoughts and feedback below. And be sure to check out my upcoming single player preview, which hopefully you'll enjoy, and I'll be having a detailed breakdown of some of the technical aspects of the game that I've noticed thus far, and how I think Naughty Dog and others will be changing this generation as we move forward. You guys and girls take care, and I'll see you very soon on the next one.
Yeah, just try to shut me down.